Radha Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhajakacharya Stutarashata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhajakacharya Stutarashata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jaya. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya. ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki Jaya. Praise Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jaya. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jaya. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jaya. Shri Nanavit Mayapur Dham Ki Jaya. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jaya. New Govardhan Dham Ki Jaya. Ganga Maya Ki Jaya. Jamuna Maya Ki Jaya. Tulsi Devi Ki Jaya. Bhakti Devi Ki Jaya. Samvita Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jaya. Prihat Mridanga Ki Jai, Shrit Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari all glories to the assembled devotees of Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees of Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees of Krishna. All glories to the divine lotus feet of Shri, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Jai. And all glories to Lord Nrsingadev. Hare Krishna. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. One that Bhajan Maharaj probably still chants, used to always chant, Krishna Swadamro Pagate Dharma Ginadi Bisaha Kalonasta Drishamesha Puranako Dunodita. Beautiful verse. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8. The Lord slays the king of the demons. And because I haven't been here in a while, I was reading up all the verses, how we got to where we are. And boy, what an exciting crescendo of these 8 chapters about Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev and Hiraṇyakaśipu. And wow, everything just happened. The Lord stepped out of the pillar, made quick work of all opposing elements. Very exciting. So today we're on text 34. Tata Sabayam Upavishtam Utame. Tata Sabayam Upavishtam Utame. My eyes aren't so great, I apologize. Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Alakshita Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Alakshita Dvairatam. Oh. Dvairatam, is that right? Dvairatam?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here it's Dvair.
He's got it right. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Alakshita Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktram Na Babaja Kashchana. Prachanda Vaktram Na Babaja Kashchana. Let's see, I was trying to get the right angle for my eyes, I apologize. Tata Sabayam Upavishtamutame Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Alakshita Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktram Na Babaja Kashchana. Tata Sabayam Upavishtamutame Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Alakshita Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktram Na Babaja Kashchana. Please chant. Tata Sabayam Upavishtamutame Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Alakshita Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktam Nababaja Varsh Kashchana. Tata Sabayam Upavishtamutame Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Kshinam Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktram Nababaja Kashchana. Tata Sabayam Upavishtamutame Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Alakshita Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktram Nababaja Kashchana. Tata Sabayam Upavishtamutame Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Alakshita Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktram Nababaja Kashchana. Ladies? Lalali? Anyone else? Don't be shy. Tata Sabayam Upavishtamutame Nripasane Sambrita Tejasam Vibhum. Alakshitam Dvairatam Atyamaršanam. Prachanda Vaktam Nabhabhaja Kaśchana. So word meanings. Tata, thereafter. Sabhayam, in the assembly house. Upavishtam, seated. Uttame, on the best. Nripa asane, throne upon which King Hiraṇyakaśipu used to sit. That is the past tense. Sambrita tejasam, in full effulgence. Vibhum, the Supreme Lord. Alakshita dvairatam, whose challenger or enemy was not seen. Ati, very much. Amarshanam, fearsome due to his anger. Prachanda, terrible. Vaktram, face. Na, not. Babhaja, worshipped. Kaśchana, anyone. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance, Lord Nrsimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Please repeat. Manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance. Lord Nrsimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Srila Prabhupada's purport. When the Lord sat on the throne of Hiraṇyakaśipu, there was no one to protest. No enemy came forward on behalf of Hiraṇyakaśipu to fight with the Lord. This means that his supremacy was immediately accepted by the demons. Another point is that although Hiraṇyakaśipu treated the Lord as his bitterest enemy, he was the Lord's faithful servant in Vaikuṇṭha, and therefore the Lord had no hesitation in sitting on the throne that Hiraṇyakaśipu had so laboriously created. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that sometimes, with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the Lord valuable seats decorated with Vedic mantras and tantras, but still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Hiraṇyakaśipu, however, had formerly been Jaya, the doorkeeper at the Vaikuntha gate, and although he had fallen because of the curse of the brāhmaṇas and had gotten the nature of a demon, and although he had never offered anything to the Lord as Hiraṇyakaśipu, the Lord is so affectionate to his devotee and servant that he nonetheless took pleasure in sitting on the throne that Hiraṇyakaśipu had created. In this regard, it is to be understood that a devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. Om Ajnanatamurandasya Jananjanan Shalakaya Chakshurun Malitanya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, yeah, I guess these last few days have been kind of a crescendo of this escalating, Leela, right? We saw Prahlad Maharaj born to Hiraṇyakaśipu, after hearing the Bhagavatam in the womb of his mother, right, from Narada Muni, being born as a pure devotee, the tension between him and his father. Of course, the father, initially tried to be dad, and gave him a second chance. Somehow, first time he came home, and what is the best thing you learned at school? Oh, Shravanam Kirtanam. What? He was so, oh my God, what's happening? Beware of the Vaishnavas that may sneak into the Gurukula and pollute the minds of the demon children, right? So they went back for Gurukul Part 2, Sanda and Amarka, trying their best to teach politics and diplomacy, divide and conquer, all the good stuff, right? And then gradually, tiffin hour, Prabhupada says, tiffin hour would come, the teachers would go home to gorge themselves on boga, probably, and Prahlad would take the opportunity to immediately begin instructing all of his 5-year-old friends, right? That don't waste this valuable human form of life. You think, we're 5, we should be playing all day, but there's not much time, right? It gives a whole analysis of how quickly time passes, right? So Prahlad was, finally the Sanda and Amarka, the Gurukul teachers, the sons of Shukracharya, they became very concerned because they could see that all of the children of the demons were gradually becoming exalted Vaishnavas by the influence and association and teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. So, and they would be blamed for it because they were already, Hiraṇyakaśipu wasn't like the warm and fuzzy kind of guy, and if you crossed him, or if he even thought that you crossed him, right, it's pointed out that he would raise his eyebrows and the, demigods would tremble, right? Turn on the aircon, Vayu in person, with a fan, you know what I mean? Let's warm this place up a little bit. Surya in person, sure, whatever you say, boss. So this was the power of Hiraṇyakaśipu. So you can imagine everyone was so, again, it's simply by the raising of his eyebrows. And he even said that, right, a few verses ago to Prahlad, that I just raised my eyebrows and everybody's frightened. How do you, where are you getting your power? Everybody in the universe is afraid of me except for you, and you're like this little boy and you're my son, So anyway, gradually his angst grew to the point where he actually decided, as we know, to kill his son. And the Lord, Bhaktavatsala, who's always affectionately leaning towards his devotees, right? He was totally paying attention, right? What does Krishna say? For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me, right? What did he tell to Durvasa Muni? What is that beautiful verse? The pure devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the hearts of my pure devotees. Thank you. My pure devotees don't know anyone but me, and I also don't know anyone but them. So when a pure devotee is in any situation, right, what to speak of a very dangerous situation, the Lord is completely tuned in, right? So we understand that. And Krishna tells Arjuna, you declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Why? Because Krishna may even sacrifice his word of honor as the supreme controller and owner and lawgiver and truest of the true, but he might sacrifice his own word of honor if there's a situation where his devotee's word of honor is possibly compromised, right? Therefore, Krishna says, you declare it boldly, because everybody knows, anybody who knows anything knows, that if push comes to shove, Krishna will uphold the words of his devotee, right? So when Hiraṇyakaśipu said, where is your God? Is he in this pillar? And Prahlad, because he sees Krishna everywhere, he says, yes, Father, he's in the pillar. So Hiraṇyakaśipu thought, okay, I'm going to show you, is this just a stone column?
Very significantly said, I want to see him.
I want to see him.
He's not the devotee inside.
Yeah, very good. Was it George Harrison say, really want to see you, really want to know you? Yeah, so that's a really good point, and that really ties into what Prabhupada brings out in the purport. And he also said, and I'll cut off your head, right? Right around the same shloka within a verse or two. So, this is down to the line. He's going to cut off Prahlad's head, after he smashes the column to prove that there's no God, then showing his son that you blew it, this person you've been counting on your whole life, I want to show you that he's not there for you. And then, just to rub it in, I'm going to cut your head off, right? That's basically what he said, right? But to substantiate the word of his pure devotee Prahlad Maharaj, right? To confirm that, yes, the Lord is everywhere, right? Hiraṇyakaśipu hit the pillar, and suddenly that sound came out, and no one could see where from that sound was coming. And that sound was so frightening that all the demons were becoming frightened, and Hiraṇyakaśipu was looking around, right? And then suddenly the Lord steps out of the pillar, right? And so this is Ugra Nishinga. This is the most fierce form of Lord Nishingadev, who is the most fierce form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So it doesn't, there is no more fierce form, right? So there's that famous story in our Mayapur Dham when, after a couple of years of dacoits ransacking the place after all the foreign devotees went home thinking, hey, all these Europeans and Americans came, there must be a ton of money there, let's go rob the temple, right? These things go on. After that happened a couple times, after the Mayapur festival, they decided that we need to install Lord Nishingadev. We need more protection, right? He's the protector of the devotees. So Atmatattva Prabhu tells this story, a wonderful devotee, and he used to visit here, stayed with Ladali and Mahabharat in that little house on the other side of the parking lot. Anyway, he tells an amazing story. He was sent to South India to try to arrange the carving of our Lord Nishingadev in Mayapur. And when they explained the project to the, is it called Stapati, right? These guys that carve the deities. The guy was like, what? And he said, well, wait a second here, let me get advice. So he went to his guru and said, they want Ugra Nishinga. And the guru's like, Ugra Nishinga. And what really came out is that deity worship, Prabhupada explains, it's a concession the Lord makes so that we can serve Him with our mind and senses and thereby become purified. And it's all about the exchange between the devotee and the Lord, the reciprocal exchange, right? Hrishikesha, how is it? Hrishikesha, Hrishikanam, Sevanam Bhakti Uchite, that the Lord is the master of the senses. When we engage our senses in the service of the master of the senses, we're becoming purified. Our mind, our senses, everything we're working with. This is a whole amazing process that's been given to us, right? And it's all about the exchange. So like, what's the exchange with Ugra Nishinga? You know what I mean? He's so angry, like the last part of the verse, after describing how there were no demons to stop him from sitting on the throne, it describes that there were also no devotees that could come forward to serve him directly. Why? Because he's so angry. You know, he came out, he killed Hiraṇyakaśipu. You look at Lord Ram's pastimes, it took months for Lord Ram to track the guy down, fight a whole war and kill him, right? Lord Nishinga, they just, you know, they fought for a little while, you know what I mean? He let him go for fun, then he came back, I'm back on town, I'm ready, and then after a short fight, just sat him down and ripped him to shreds, right? Then millions of demoniac soldiers came, and just with his nails, it doesn't even describe, I mean, elsewhere it says he had weapons and all that, but in these verses, just with his nails, he just wiped out the entire army of demons. If anybody was left, they were like, headed in all directions as fast as they could. Nobody was coming and saying, how dare you, you know, right? You know, when you are a dedicated servant of a powerful personality, you guard their asan, right? Like this seat right here. I mean, you know, some devotee comes in and some guy off the beach is sitting here smoking a cigarette. What happens? You know, hey, get out of here, you bum, you know, right? So, you know, these seats are important. You know, this is the closest thing, you know, we have. Well, that's more. But anyway, so that, you know, the point is there, if there was anybody left, they would have been trying to stop him from sitting, but there wasn't. And he was so angry that even the devotees, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly, right? So, yeah, so the answer was no, but the devotees were persistent because they really wanted Lord Nishingadev, you know. So then the guy had to go back to his guru, and they're still asking, you know. So then the guru said, well, where would this deity be proposed to be installed? And they said, in Sridham Mayapur. And then the man understood, the guru understood. He said, oh, predominating deity is Panchatattva, because when there are deities in a special holy place like that, all the deities take on the mood of the predominating deities, who are Panchatattva. And we know that Sri Sri Gaura-Nitai, Sri Sri Panchatattva, their mood is unlimited mercy and compassion, right? They come to kill the demoniac mentality, not to kill the demons. Thank God for us. So anyhow, then the man allowed his disciple to carve the deity. And of course, there's so many stories, but you know, this is Ugra Nishinga, right? And of course, he's taken on the transcendental mood of the Panchatattva, so therefore we can go and worship him like that. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that because, you know, it's the fiercest of fierce forms of the Lord. Of course, Mayapur is very special. There's also the place called Nrsimhapali, right, where after this whole thing was done, and after the prayers of Prahlad, and after Lord Nrsimhadev had become calmed down through his affection for Prahlad, then, you know, everything, the Lord was moving and he wanted to wash his hands, and he flew down to this beautiful pond in Sridham Mayapur, Nrsimhapali, and all the demigods followed him, and they all went there, and the Lord washed off and got cleaned up after the fight. And then they started having fun, and they had like water games, you know, and Lord Nrsimhadev was splashing everybody, you know, just imagine having water fights with Lord Nrsimhadev, but like all the devas came, you know, and they immediately jumped in Nrsimhapali, and they're all having fun, you know. So this is after the Lord, you know, sometimes you see pictures of Lord Nrsimhadev like Lakshmi Nrsimha, and he's smiling and holding a lotus flower. It's a different mood, same Lord, but different mood, right, after he's calmed down. Yeah, so anyway, just wanted to, and then another point, you know, that comes up, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about how even great, let me just find the right wording here, sorry, my eyes. He's quoting Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who points out that sometimes with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the Lord valuable seats dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras, but still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones, right? So this is also very significant in regards to him sitting on the throne of Hiraṇyakaśipu, because the point is being brought out that even though in this life Hiraṇyakaśipu was totally inimical to the Lord and hadn't done any, because ultimately he was the Lord's devotee, and the Lord is so grateful for that service. And this really highlights why this process of devotional service is so important, and why it's the only way that one can actually come into these personal exchanges with the Lord, right? So what are a couple of verses from the Bhagavad Gita where the Lord explains this to us? Come on, you guys. You're all more learned than me. How it kind of brings out this point about bhakti being the only process which really brings one into this type of relationship. Like Prabhupada quoted Vishwanath Chakravarti, that even sometimes great rishis, they offer beautiful seats to the Lord, but the Lord doesn't come and sit on them, but he's sitting on the throne of Hiraṇyakaśipu because he was a devotee generally. So it kind of brings up how bhakti is the only really the only way to come into these intimate personal exchanges with the Lord. So I was just saying, there's so many beautiful verses in the Gita, and I just thought I would do a little pop quiz to keep everybody awake. So, Bhakyamam. Tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. Right? Only by devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding, right? So how does one get close to Krishna, right? What's another nice one in the 4th chapter?
Another verse to that,
Like that, in the 4th chapter. Well, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, that's a good one. The one I was thinking of is the one where he says, Bhaktu si me sakachati, Rahasyam yetaruttamam. What's the first 2 lines? Yes, yes. Savyam mayateja yoga prokta pratana bhakto si me sakachati rahasyam yetarutamam. My dear Arjuna, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, therefore you can understand the transcendental mystery of the science, right? So it's just a couple, there's many, but it's a very important point because, if you just look at this at first glance, right, Hiraṇyakaśipu is not the most likely person that the Lord's going to be very inclined towards at all, right? And it wasn't like he had a short life. I mean, he basically wasn't one of the chapters Hiraṇyakaśipu terrorizes the universe, right? I mean, he upended the entire order as established by the Lord. He sent his guys out to destroy sacrifices, kill brāhmaṇas, kill cows. Let's starve Lord Vishnu. Make sure there's nobody left who's alive or inclined to offer sacrifice. Kamsa did the same thing. So, these are the guys, right? But because he's actually a devotee, all that was, in a sense, overlooked, right? For a deeper purpose, and Prabhupada ends the purport, and I thought this was really beautiful, saying, in this regard, it is to be understood that a devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life, right? So, here is Jaya, who fell into a condition of life as Hiraṇyakaśipu, right? But we see his fortune is, even in that condition, is coming out here because the Lord not only was willing, but he was happy, he was glad to sit on the throne so laboriously created by Hiraṇyakaśipu. So we see that relationship with the Lord is so dear, right? And it's interesting because when we begin this pastime, right, where does this all begin? What event happened that provoked this whole conversation that we've been in for the last 8 chapters? What brought this whole discussion on? Well, that's a big part of it, but what brought this discussion on that brought us to that? Huh? Yeah, exactly. Because by the end of the 6th canto, King Prickett was kind of like, seems like the Lord's partial, because he's upholding the demigods in so many instances, and so he's saying, but how can he be partial? Because he's the source of everyone and everything, and he has nothing to gain here. And so the whole discussion, and then Shukadeva Swami says, yes, this is an excellent question, right? And he said, this ties into something that your grandfather asked Narada Muni when they had the Rajasuya Yajna, and everybody saw Shishupal was tolerated, and then Sudarshan Chakra, right? But everybody saw his soul went up and waited and then entered into the body of the Lord. And Yudhisthira Maharaj was amazed, just like what's said here, that these great rishis and saintly persons, they, with great effort, make these beautiful seats and offer the Lord, and the Lord doesn't sit there, right? So similarly, in that discussion, it's kind of like, what just happened? Great yogis and spiritualists are trying for this type of liberation for their whole lives and not getting it. And this guy who was just going off again and again and again about Krishna, just offending him in every possible way he possibly could, right? Suddenly is immediately given this exalted liberation, right? So, it's like, whoa, what just happened? And that kind of brought on this whole conversation. And it came on with that point of how can someone apparently so envious, so fallen, such a demon, be liberated by the Lord so effortlessly, right? And so, again, this is really showing us, what is this devotional service? What is the power of this devotional service? Everything's important. The rules and regulations of the material world are important. The social order is important. All these things are really important as long as one is not engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then they're important too, because, right, as everyone follows a great person. So the great devotees and the Lord himself, they observe all of these things. But the relationship with the Lord transcends all of these things, right? There's that beautiful section in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Krishnadas Kaviraj points out, we say this is auspicious and this is inauspicious, this is good and this is bad, but this is all manodharma. This is all the dharma of the mind, you know what I mean? Because actually anything short of Krishna consciousness, anything short of realizing that I am an eternal soul, I am eternally related with Krishna, and my eternal occupation is to serve him with love. Anything less than that, right? When we get to the nutshell verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? One of the first ones is someone who is on a spiritual path must search for it up to this point of a personal relationship with the Supreme. The Lord had just revealed himself to Lord Brahma, right? It's even said they shook hands. The Lord revealed himself to him. He revealed his Dham. He revealed everything. Brahma became so enlightened that not long after, I believe that's when he wrote the Brahma Samhita, right? He was diary notation, like what he just experienced, what he just saw. This is like the most elevated treatise of spiritual knowledge that Lord Chaitanya unearthed, right? And made available from some ancient library in South India, right? So, and then Lord Krishna says, one must search for it up to this point. Krishna is a person, Brahma is a person, and now they've connected, and Brahma is connected with the Lord in pure, loving, devotional service, right? So everything else, to the degree that it helps us in that direction is good. And if it doesn't, it's not worthwhile, right? So, this point is just, in my mind, it's really amplified here in this pastime, because we see that even somebody, like Hiraṇyakaśipu, he's like the last guy that generally we'd be thinking the Lord would be very pleased to have anything to do with, right? What to speak of sitting on his throne, right? But not, And of course, as Devotee pointed out the other day when Mukunda Charan Prabhu gave a wonderful class, this is the Lord's Leela. Sometimes the Lord, he's a person, he likes to fight. Nobody's going to put the gloves on in Vaikuntha and, say, okay, I'm here, I'm ready for you, So he makes these amazing arrangements. He can fight in the material world, right? Not in the spiritual world. So he keeps that nice for his devotees. Sometimes we hear there's rumors of demons, right? In Vrindavan, there's rumors of demons. There's a little bit of an edge there, but there's not actual demons. Demons don't get to go in Goloka Vrindavan. They can slink around the edges on Balma Vrindavan sometimes, but like Goloka Vrindavan, no. But there's rumors of demons, like that. So the Lord, he wants to fight, and who's going to fight with him, right? Who's going to fight with him in the material world, right? It's just, even Hiraṇyakaśipu came, right? And the fight didn't last too long, right? So, of course, the Lord, he behaves differently in different incarnations, right? But Lord Ram, again, it took quite a while. There was a whole war, and ultimately, so in that incarnation, he was going a little slowly, and that's nice too. But at least for me, anyway, it's just so nice to just reflect on, how the Lord is so merciful to his devotees, that he actually reciprocates in this way, and it really shows us the value of whole, unadulterated devotional service, and that was another point too, just to compare any path to devotional service, because Hiraṇyakāśipu's path was to perform intense austerity and to gain what he considered to be unlimited power, which within the scope of the material universe, he had it, unlimited power. But in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that unlimited power became extremely limited, right? And so when the Lord, in a chapter or two down the line, when the Lord is offering Prahlad Maharaj benedictions, that was one of Prahlad Maharaj's very salient points, is that I've seen it. You know, you're offering me a material benediction, but like my dad had them all. You know, he had acquired every material benediction that one could possibly acquire, but in a moment he was finished just by your touch of your nails, you know, so please don't tempt me with me. I was born in a family of demons, maybe I'll become dissuaded from your, I didn't come to do business with you, right? I just want to engage in the service of your lotus feet, like that. So that's also a very important lesson that we can gain from this, is that there is no position, right, which is worth attaining in this material world, which won't be taken away by time, right? For the atheist, Krishna says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. And that also gets down to this point about the Lord's partiality. The other thing we learn from all this is that the Lord is impartial, but he's reciprocal, right? And he reciprocates with us as we approach him, right? So you want to approach him by fighting, he'll reciprocate, but buckle your seatbelt, you know. So however we approach the Lord, he will reciprocate and will become benefited, just like all the people that attack the Lord, they get liberated, right? So he's reciprocating, right? But one who renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So that reciprocation is also there. And considering that most of us Kali Yuga kids probably aren't going to rise to the level of powerful demoniac like Hiraṇyakaśipu or Kamsa or anyone like that, better we follow the path given by our acharyas, which is to humbly engage in devotional service under the direction of authorities, in the association of devotees, right? Like that. So if we take advantage of this amazing path of devotional service, which has been given to us so perfectly by Srila Prabhupada, who has taken advantage of all the contributions of our previous acharyas, who were ordered to create this whole path by Lord Chaitanya himself, right? And we can even go back generations before that, people like Narada Muni, Narada Pancharatra, Srila Vyasadeva, the Bhagavatam. So everything has just been given to us perfectly, and all we have to do is take advantage of it, right? Just allow the Lord and his devotees to kill us in this age, meaning to kill our demoniac mentality, right? There's that nice understanding that, and you see it in these Bhagavatam pastimes, right? In Satya Yuga, the demons and devotees were very isolated. They lived on different planets, practically, you know, and they were big, you know. And Treta Yuga, they lived on the same planets, but different areas. We saw like Lord Ram, I mean, they were mostly on Lanka, but then they had a little outpost in Janistan, right? That. Dwapar Yuga, they were even in the same families, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, right? You had the demons and the devotees quite intermingled, right? And in Kali Yuga, the divine and demoniac mentalities are present in each and every one of us. And so the Lord comes with the wonderful medicine to kill the demoniac mentality and to nourish and nurture the devotional mentality, which is Harinam Sankirtan, hearing and chanting about the names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. And just by chanting and hearing and serving, we can become pure devotees in no time flat. I mean, compared to all of the great, it's all about sacrifice, right? In every age, there's processes of sacrifice that are recommended to bring us to the ultimate goal. And in this age, Lord Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Sri Sri Panchatattva, they've made it very easy and simultaneously sublime, right? Prabhupada so poetically says, it's the easiest process, even for the neophytes that are just on the threshold of the house of Bhakti, and it's simultaneously the most sublime process, even for the topmost transcendentalists, right? So the Lord is so kind, and I'll end with this. What time are we supposed to end? Okay, so I better end. But I just got to throw this last in. When I thought of this, I was remembering this story, and then I kind of Googled it, and where I actually found a description of it, nice description, was in a Giriraj Maharaj's Vyasapuja offering to Srila Prabhupada. But you know, that beautiful, I was just reading it the other day, actually, where I'm at in my personal reading is the third canto, when Uddhava met Vidura, right? And Vidura asked him about, how's Krishna, how are the Yadus? And Uddhava, who had just lost the Lord's association, just immediately went into total trance of remembrance of Lord Krishna, right? And one of the things he said was, how can you find a more merciful master? Putana came to kill him. That beautiful verse, Aho Bhakti, Dravida probably knows it. That Putana, she smeared poison all over her breasts, and she came to do premeditated murder. Her whole purpose was to kill baby Krishna, right? And what did Krishna do? After he killed her, he sent her to Goloka Vrindavan to become a mother. He gave her an opportunity. So, yeah, one of his mothers. You know, so, you know, Uddhava is saying, how can one find a more merciful master, right? So, and in terms of how even the self-realized souls become attracted to Krishna because he possesses transcendental qualities. So when Shukadeva Goswami was finally talked out of the womb by Lord Krishna, and he came out as a 16-year-old, and being a self-realized, you know, Brahman-realized soul, he just started walking, didn't have much concept of home and house and all that. And Vyasadeva wanted to teach him, wanted to share the Bhagavatam with him, so he and some disciples, they went to the forest where he was, and they were reciting that verse along with another verse, and he became so attracted by the Bhagavatam from hearing that beautiful verse that he came back and heard the rest of the Bhagavatam. Of course, later he spoke it for all of our benefit. So, yeah, so there's no more merciful Lord than Lord Krishna. So that comes out here, comes out there with Putana, it comes out here with Hiraṇyakaśipu, right? And we know the whole story. Ultimately, they even got to come back in Chaitanya Lila, and not only did they get to go back to Vaikuṇṭha, but they became purest of the pure, right? They were actually delivered by Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, right? So I'll end there and read the verse again. Manifesting a full effulgence in a fearsome countenance, Lord Nrsimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Any corrections, comments, questions? Devotee Prabhu?
Just one note about Shishupal, because you mentioned Shishupal.
Yes.
I don't think you mentioned that he's also one of the Jaya Vijay bears.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So you know, he also got a lot of mercy in that way also.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Was it Shishupal and Dantavakra, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, Hiraṇyakaśipu and Hiraṇyaksha, and then they got the total encore. They got the total encore, Jagai and Madai. They got the special mercy, even beyond the special mercy. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you so much for your kind attention. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.